Let's dive into all of it with our political power panel. Republican strategist Luke Ball joins us, as well as former Democratic Congressman from Pennsylvania, Patrick Murphy. Great to see you guys. Happy early 4th of July coming up. Patrick, I want to start with you. It kind of felt like after the 2024 election, Democrats were at a crossroads, right? Are they going to shift a little bit more to the center and go moderate, or are they going to keep going far left? Does Mamdani represent where the Democratic Party is right now and where they're going, in your opinion?
Not really. I mean, you got to remember, Bill, we are a Big Ten party. I think, people want to point to that mayor's race in New York City, but how about Navy veteran Mikey Sherrill here in New Jersey, where she's up 20 points against a Republican? How about former CIA agent Abigail Spangler, who's running for governor, will be the next governor of Virginia? They're the basically leaders that are going to run the whole states, not just the city. So I think I understand that President Trump is targeting him and trying to go battle with him as he's a candidate against that assemblyman. But I think that there's a broader, basically, leadership coming from the states. I just mentioned New Jersey, Virginia, but how about Wes Moore in Maryland, Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania? That's where you see the real leadership happening.
Luke, are Republicans happy to just stand by and watch Mamdani open his mouth and campaign with some of his policies?
A little bit, but we're also concerned for the direction of our country. Patrick just laid out a couple of other Democrats who are in a similar vein as the moderates, but by and large, the loudest and most radical voices in the Democrat Party are capturing all of the energy. And in this absence of a consolidated power center here in the Democratic Party, no centralized leader, no centralized message, they take up all of the airwaves. And I would submit that as goes New York City, as goes California, so goes the rest of the nation. This is not an outlier. This is a consistent vein within the Democrat Party that is promoting Democrat socialism, which is just socialism with another name. And that is a very dangerous element here. I feel for the moderate Democrats who don't want their party to go that way, but I don't see enough Democrats who are willing to call out this cancer within their own party. And if they don't do it, they're not only going to not recognize their own party very soon, they're not going to recognize our nation any longer.
Yeah, and the New York Post Go ahead, real quick,
Bill, if you don't mind. Yeah, real quick. I mean, people are pissed off because younger people are getting screwed about affordability, not just in New York City, but across America. And even the bill that we're going to, it's probably going to pass today, it's going to add $3.3 trillion to our debt over the next 10 years. Who's going to pay for that? Our kids. We can't be passing tax breaks for now that our kids are going to have to pay it off. It's just wrong. And
Patrick, you pivoted away from the conversation here. I even have been critical of my own party for not addressing the deficit well enough. But in the Democrat Party, we need voices like you, like others, to call out the socialism within that party. That is a major, major issue, and they are sucking up all of the power and all of the energy right now. Condemn the socialist vein in your party. Condemn the direction that it's going, and then we can have a conversation about fiscal policy. But you've pivoted away from the central argument, which is the Democrat Party has become the Socialist Party of America.
That's not accurate. Right. That's not accurate. Look at the governors across the country, Democratic governors.
Hold on, guys. We'll let you go back at it in a second here. Want to get your opinion on this New York Post editorial board. The headline says, quote, don't go down the Islamist rabbit hole. Socialism is what makes Mamdani toxic. Then you have a former Soviet citizen who was exiled by Putin in 2013 explaining in a new opinion piece that he's seen Mamdani's socialism destroy a country. An excerpt says, quote, I'm well aware that Mamdani isn't planning to turn City Hall into a Soviet-style communist totalitarian regime. He may be badly misguided, but he's not going to cook the goose that lays the golden eggs for just one meal. The problem with socialism light is that it's never perfect, but socialists are always very confident. If you give them just a little more power, it will be. Patrick, I know you're saying Mamdani isn't the direction Democrats are going with the mainstream, but this is the biggest city in the country. He's getting a bigger profile. Everybody's talking about him, and now, I mean, his policies. How are you going to pay for some of the socialism if you're worried about adding to debt?
Well, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I don't have to pay for it. I don't live in New York City, but I would say to you, and I'd submit to you, that he has tapped into a vein of Americans who are upset, Bill, and they're upset because groceries aren't going lower, because gas prices aren't going lower, because the economy isn't necessarily on the right track. And we got to come together as all Americans. Most Democrats, overwhelmingly, are capitalists, are there to make sure that we have the number one economy in the world and the number one military in the world. And that's not our God-given right. We got to work at it every single day.
Luke, Pennsylvanians don't have to pay for the socialism policies in New York, but New Yorkers will have to. We'll give you the quick final word.
Yeah, Patrick has justified Mamdani's rise in the Democrat Party by saying that the vast majority of Americans are experiencing higher gas prices and higher groceries. That's not the case. In fact, our economy is on a much better track than it was before. I don't want to pivot away and just justify his existence. I want to pivot towards him and say, call this out. Someone's got to pay for the free groceries. Someone's got to pay for the free transportation. And it's going to be all Americans, and it's not just localized in New York City.
Final thing I want to talk to you guys about, obviously we're heading into the most patriotic weekend of the year, 4th of July. We're talking about our country's independence, and to commemorate, left-wing organizations are planning nationwide anti-Trump protests, and liberal commentators are making comments like this one.
Our country needs to be sanctioned. We are the bad guys on the world stage. We are a menace to not only free people everywhere, but we are a menace to peaceful people everywhere at this point. And I'm not even going to say that we've only been a menace for the past 3 or 4 months, right? Like, when does the international community decide that enough is enough?
And Fox News contributor Joe Concha highlighting dueling visions of this year's holiday. His new column with the headline, quote, "The angry left resists as the right rejoices, a tale of 2 Independence Days." An excerpt, quote, "The juxtaposition has never been more apparent. Here we have a solid majority of the country doing what we've always done as a republic, commemorate the passage of the Declaration of Independence. But for whatever reason, the lunatics running the No Kings protests have a better idea by rejecting America's greatness and resisting Trump in the name of saving democracy." Patrick, is America the bad guys?
Absolutely not. Listen, as Ronald Reagan once said, Bill, America is the shining city on the hill, and we still are. Are we perfect? No. And even our forefathers in our Constitution preamble said, in order to form a more perfect union. Listen, I just did a Substack. It's called Pride is Patriotism, right? And where I lay out the facts that we all have to do the good fight. When you talk about the lunatics, the No Kings, there was 5 million Americans that exercised constitutional rights in 2,100 towns and cities across America. It was peaceful, right? That's okay. That's expressing your First Amendment right to freedom of speech and assembly. The juxtaposition here that he should really refer to is the fact that under President Obama, we had the Affordable Health Care Act that covered 20 million more Americans. It let you stay in your parents' coverage till 26, things of that nature. Where today we're going to vote on a bill that's going to kick out 17 million Americans off their Medicaid. That's wrong, man. That's not what America's about. We got to be in this together.
Luke, got about 15 seconds for a final word to you.
I would say that Republicans and Democrats are proud to be Americans, but I'm fearful of an element on the left-wing side that says we have to fundamentally transform the United States of America. That's not the direction I want to go. I want America to remain great.
All right, got to leave it there. Luke and Patrick, thank you guys for joining us, and happy early 4th of July to both of you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you both.